My question is, in the event of being elected, will the parliamentary candidate support or oppose the programme of estate demolition that is currently being implemented by Southwark Labour Council across the constituency? And there's a sub-question to this. Is the Haygate estate, which is within this constituency, just to remind you, demolition of 1,200 council homes, replacement with about 2,324, of which 82 are going to be for social rent, which has built homes, two-bedroom homes at £725,000. And on the new development in Trafalgar Place, every single home sold so far has been bought by overseas investment, not to live in. Is this a model of estate demolition and redevelopment which the candidate would intend to support or oppose in the Old Kent Road opportunity area, which I don't know if any of you heard about this, which similarly threatens the homes and indeed the lives of thousands of constituents in this.
Smoking one, it's architects for social housing. We had other people raising this very same point, Susanna Dobson. 100% of the flats that have been sold at the latest South Garden Castle Development Park have been bought by overseas investors. What will you do to ensure there are affordable homes for local people? Robert Lentil asked something rather similar. I could go on. There were a lot of questions on this. Neil, do you support Labour Southwark Council's policy on Haygate in particular, and could you give us a good example of where we're going?
Well, the Haygate example that's been cited was emptied when the Lib Dems and Tories ran Southwark Council. So when you target Labour with that, you need to remember when that policy came forward. The Labour manifesto puts forward what we want to see: 1 million homes with 500,000 either council or housing association homes. And Southwark Council is struggling. Right? Now, Southwark Council has the biggest council house building programme anywhere in the country, and Labour councils build more council homes than Tory councils, who build more homes than Lib Dem councils. And when you go to vote on June the 8th, you have the chance to back that manifesto, to give councils more resources to actually build the homes we need when Southwark's got 10,000, or in this constituency, and with respect to the other candidates, you can choose to go actually, when he had the chance to be in government and make a difference on housing policy, cut the council's budget by £200 million, cut the Homes and Communities Agency budget by 80%, and that's the agency that provides money to councils to build genuinely affordable homes and increase pressure on the council. But we'll tell you today, it's all the council's fault. That Labour council bashing is because he's ashamed of his own record in government and doesn't have, a leg to stand on when it comes to housing.
And can I just ask you, very specifically, do you think what happened at Haygate was a good thing or a bad thing?
I'm on the record on this for years. I was a councillor here. I have said for years, it was not. They was in camera, but the Haygate was the best deal in very bad circumstances. That's what I'm saying. And I was, as a councillor here, I was under pressure, from residents, because when I was elected in 2010, the Haygate estate had been empty for years, and we know what was happening on that estate, and we know that the council did a deal that they felt was best in those circumstances. And it was not the ideal deal. It was not, I think the council perhaps could have got more in hindsight, but there was also a commitment in that deal to make sure that as homes are sold, then more genuinely affordable homes and council homes should be funded from that kind of deal. But I'm not into the council bashing, and this is a general election member, but I'm not into the council bashing because if Southwark Council has lost that money from central government and wants to work in partnership with Peabody and Notting Hill to build genuinely affordable homes and the private sector, and we should not lose track of the fact that through partnership work with the private sector, in the absence of a partnership government, the council has built brand new, highest quality, highest environmental standard council homes right on Blackfriars Road near the Thames, next to Tower Bridge, on Long Lane, or Gilloway, those homes are appearing, and they are the best standard for Southwark residents.
I can hear this. So, Madam, you were trying to speak. I'd like to hear you.
Yeah, I want to ask about affordable rent into
No, then what were you shouting? Because you were.
I was heckling it.
And what was your point when you were?
My point was what are the candidates going to do about providing housing, not affordable, which can be up to 80% of market rent, and Southwark's own research shows that the majority of people on landed in this area could not afford an affordable rent. And much of what Neil is speaking about is about affordable rent, which is not affordable.
Okay,
what are the candidates going to do
Yeah, so
to provide
social
rented accommodation?
Simon, Neil raised the Liberal Democrats' view of this. Can you tell us if you would answer the question?
Yeah. I'll give you a direct answer, Simon. I'll support you. I'll work with you and I'll support you. And the reason I'll work with you and support you, apart from the fact that I've been around campaigning on these issues for a long time, is that when the Labour Council wanted to demolish the Fullan's estate, I was there with people, some of them squatted the estate to make sure it survived, and mercifully has done, on a cross-party basis. When the Haygate had problems, I was the Member of Parliament, the decision was taken by the residents that it was going to have to be demolished because the central heating didn't work and the lift didn't work and it was not possible to renew the infrastructure. That was a decision where there was an agreement by the residents. We negotiated a right to return. The rewriting of history, and I'm afraid this is a place we're in the church, but we're not get angry at churches, as the priest in charge will tell you, and rightfully so. This is why I'm very angry with the local Labour Council. And I'm very angry because they did a deal with Lend-Lease, which was for 25%, not the Southwark standard, which is meant to be 33%, 25% of the 35. It was done for 25%. And that was affordable in the general sense, which produced, as you rightly said, under 100 socially rented homes. Completely unacceptable. And the answer to the combined question is, where do we go from here? We need to work with tenants and residents to make sure that we don't get, this council, which probably has the worst record of any Labour council in London, in doing sweetheart deals with developers to produce estate after estate which are empty because they're sold off-plan abroad and nobody lives in them often, or people have them second homes which they visit once a year. And if you look in our manifesto, you'll see we're committed not just to a 300,000 target year, but to an end to the right to buy, if that's what the council wants, to an end to letting and selling abroad before people locally have a right. And I personally have made a commitment that if elected, I will challenge every single application that comes before Southwark Council which does not have 50% affordable housing in it. We have to say to the developers, develop if you will, but develop for the people, not for profit. And we'll do it here, and I'll do it with you.
Very quickly, just to say what they would do and answer that question. Just sort of 30 seconds, a very quick one, Jane.
Yeah, okay.
So there are two definitions of affordable housing. There's the sort of official definition that can be up to 80% of market rate, and there's the other
I
definition.
can clarify exactly what affordable housing is, if you'd like. Affordable housing is a very large category that will contain a tiny percentage of social rent, that is what people are living in council housing. It will then be divided increasingly now. Affordable housing means homes at full market rent that can be bought on shared ownership. That means you need a 25% investment in it. Until you own 100% of that home, you are merely an assured tenant. So that's what actually is being built in this place. Can I just read my question? My question was, will you oppose or support the Southwark Labour Council? That was my question.
To have their say and answer your original question.
Yeah.
James, just a quick answer to the original question. What would you do about foreign ownership, how dwellings being sold at plan to foreigners, and demolition?
Okay, it will come as no surprise for you to learn that my housing policy is perhaps not as well thought out as the other candidates. So I'll merely say this. When we cut deals with developers, we have to cut way better deals with developers. If we don't, we're going to see a kind of Manhattanisation of London, where if you're not a foreign investor or a bank or hedge fund money. You've got to be able to afford to live here anymore, and it will make London a much worse place to live.
Thank you. I'd quite like a little bit longer because I've got quite a lot to say on this. But listen, either Labour, council or MP, whether whoever's representing, are committed to building homes and proper affordable, proper social homes, or they're not. There are 33 boroughs in London and 24 of them are Labour. They hold the keys to the house building. Now, you've heard Sir Simon say he's going to challenge every single application. I would say it's a complete waste of time. His objection will just be one of the other objections. It will just be considered as one objection. What we absolutely have to do is, there's no confidence here from the Haygate Estate, Spa Road. Southwark Council didn't manage to monitor that the affordable housing was actually being built. So they said that it should be built and then forgot to check, and the developers just carried on. So, it's about, you've got the ability to factor into Section 106 agreements, which are the agreements that the developers enter into with the council to define affordable. You've got the ability to place conditions on how the properties can be marketed. You can be quite creative with all of this. But actually, what Theresa May is doing, and what we've seen in our manifesto, is we are committed to a whole new generation of social house building. And we're not only going to just make that pledge, we're going to make sure we've got councils on board so we can extend borrowing, we can release brownfield sites, and we are going to build houses. We've built 148,000 houses since 2010 in London. It's not good enough. We could all do better. Successive governments can do better. House building is the key, and we've got to remember that homes mean security, mean closing the front door, good mental health.
And are you happy with homes being sold off plan or on plan and advertised in Kuala Lumpur before they're advertised?
No, I would.
What does the manifesto say and do on that particular issue? It's not an
I'm intuitively in favour of markets working as they work, as you would probably imagine. What I would like to see happen is that we have a first dibs approach to make sure that developments are advertised here before they are advertised abroad. It helps nobody, it helps no communities, it helps the empty homes, so we want to make sure we've got...
Okay, we're going to pass down to Joe.
So yes, I am opposed to knocking down council houses. Council does a terrible job of actually keeping up council homes, which is part of the reason why they then claim that they have to actually knock them down, because they haven't kept up the renovations and refurbishments of them. They need to do a lot more work in terms of actually having consultations with the residents who are living on those estates to make sure that the plans that they actually come up work for them and not for the council. And can I just point out one thing? Council houses, the council is not actually a private owner of property. Council houses are actually the people's houses. They actually belong to us effectively. They are there to support us. So we need to be the ones who benefit from them, not the council. And just on the point around Southwark, they gave £1 million to take on, so I don't think they can be that short of money.
They could be short of money, they didn't waste it.
I'll be as quick as I can. Number one, there has to be a moratorium on right to buy in Southwark until the demand can catch up with supply. There has to be a moratorium. I accept, of course, that it is most people's ambition to own their own home, but without sufficient housing stock to go around, there has to be a moratorium. That's number one. Number two, there has to be a register of empty homes. It is a criminal waste that so many properties in the area are unoccupied and could be put to very good use. Number three, end sweetheart deals. I'm totally with Sir Simon on this. Yes, we do have to have far more governance as to what goes on with councils negotiating with overseas investors. No more sweetheart deals. Of what use is a couple of £1 million to the local residents? Yes, it makes the Southwark Council accountant's books look good, but it doesn't assist the residents. With the recent Haygate Estate, I'm sure where the Lend-Lease had the problem with one elephant, and I believe 24 million was handed to the council, 20 million went to a leisure centre, and 2 million was going to be used for local housing. I don't see that 2 million is going to go very, very far at all. UKIP's policy is to build on brownfield sites. Yes, but we can actually build about 2.5 million new homes on brownfield, but clearly there needs to be a national brownfield sites register.
Thank you very, very much indeed. I just want to give the last word on housing. I'm going to give you the last word on housing, but I want Neil just to pick up on some of the criticisms. Essentially, Neil, the charge is that Southwark Council has been walked over by private developers and signed some really duck deals in which they could have negotiated a great deal harder and they were taken for a while. Do you accept that?
I'll say this again, Southwark Council has the biggest council house building programme in the country. That does require working in partnership with the private sector and housing associations, and I think they should do that whilst we've had governments that will not work in partnership with the council. And we've got, again, and you've got a choice in you, you've got the Simon Says and Simon Does approach, because Lib Dem councillors just voted through a planning application that has 5% affordable housing in it, 5%, not 35. So you've heard what Simon said today. And on his watch, where were the policies? What did he do when he had the chance to be in government? Homelessness doubled. Homelessness doubled. And the reason we have 80% affordable rents, for market rent, why? Coalition policy changed it to 80% and hit our community hard. And I want the chance to be in government to make a positive difference in people's lives. I wanted to be in a Labour government that genuinely builds the council homes we need and the really, genuinely affordable homes we need.